Okay folks, I'm ready to get a line in the water. But first I wanted to kind of show you my setup for fishing, give you some ideas if you don't own some fishing tackle, what you might want to get. First, what we have are the most important part, and that's the fishing poles. I have a couple of different fishing poles here with me today. This fishing pole is a collapsible pole, and I like these little units. You can get them for probably under $15 at most sporting goods stores. And that has a telescoping rod that when you pull out the extensions, it extends to a full-size rod. Why I like these a lot is because I can stick them in my backpack, and I can just stick the whole outfit in my backpack and then go back in wherever it is that I want to fish. So I really like those little telescoping fishing poles. The other fishing pole that I use is called a two-piece pole, and for obvious reasons it's called two-piece because it comes in two pieces and you just slide the pieces together. Today I'm going to be using the two-piece pole. The other parts of the things that you're going to need, you're going to need some worms. Worms are a natural food, as are flies and other things. You can use imitation lures, but worms are still probably going to catch you more fish. And what I've got there is some night crawlers that I purchased from one of the local stores for $1.50, and there's probably about 24 in there. I usually catch my own worms, but it's too late in the season to be doing that. All the worms went deep underground, so I couldn't find any worms on my soil, so I broke down and bought some worms today. The other parts of the tackle that you might want to get, the little red and white things there that you see are called bobbers or bubbles, and when you're fishing in a lake or a little pond like this, it's helpful to have one of those. It keeps your line up out of the sticks and stuff like that, but it also indicates when the fish bites, and I'll show you when I put that on my hook. When a fish bites, it'll give that a little jingle, it'll pull it down under the water, and that indicates that I've got a fish bite, and then I can watch my line and reel it up real slow until I'm ready to hook that fish. The other thing there in that round red package, those are sinkers, and that's just a variety pack of sinkers that you can buy just about anywhere. That cost me $2.89. You can buy smaller packages of sinkers. I like the mixed set, that way I have something of everything. They come in different sizes, and you may want a sinker on depending on where you're fishing. If you put some sinkers on, it'll pull your line out farther, so if you're fishing and you need to cast a long ways out, then put a sinker on. If you're fishing real close by like we are here, just the weight of the bubble and the weight of the worm on the hook will be enough to carry it out. Hooks come in all different types and sizes. You want to pick some. I generally, for smaller fish, you want a smaller hook. Larger fish, you want a bigger hook. We're fishing for brookies today, so we don't need a real large hook. And these are a size 8 hook in a bait pack, and I think it comes 6 pieces and is about 59 cents. That is all you really need. A fishing pole, some worms, some bobbers, some sinkers, some hooks, and then that blue thing right there is called a stringer, and they make different types of these too. After we catch the fish, we've got to have some place to put it where it will stay fresh. The best place to put a fish after you catch it is right back in the water. So what we do is we'll take that stringer, and I'll show you when we get to this, but we take the stringer, and this piece here goes through the gills and then goes down through the hook, and then that is the fish is put back into the water, and we just stick the end of that into the ground. That keeps the fish secure, but also keeps the fish fresh because it will stay alive. It doesn't hurt the fish to be on the stringer. It will stay alive. If it's alive, then it won't go into rigor mortis, and it'll be a lot easier to clean, and the meat will be a lot fresher when you do decide to clean it and cook it. So now we're ready to get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pole. I'll let you look out here at the lake for a second while I put it together. Okay, and all I did is just slide the two ends together. Had to release the line a little bit. The line goes down and into the reel right here. And the reel is just a one-button operation. When you push in on the button, it holds on to the line. But when you push in, it also sets it up so it'll release the line. So when you hold in on the button, then when you pull your arm back to cock it for casting, then you let go of the button, the line goes back out through that spool, out through the eyes on the fishing pole. Those are called eyes. And you can see the line goes through those. And it comes out the top of the fishing pole. And on the end of that line should be a hook. And this is what the hooks look like. And these are called snelled hooks because they have a little barb on the sides of them, and that keeps the fish from coming off as easily. You can use unsnelled hooks, and if you're going to be doing catch and release fishing or in an area where you might catch fish that you don't want to keep, use the unsnelled hooks, because then you won't hurt the fish near as much. It'll come in, come right out, and generally only leave just a small puncture wound that will heal up real quickly, and the fish will survive if you're going to put them back in. If you're going to be fishing and you want to keep those fish, then I suggest using a snelled hook. Now the next part may be a little bit squeamish if you've never dealt with worms before. Because these are long worms, I don't want to use a whole worm and waste it for fishing, so I'm only going to use part of the worm. So what I do is I take the worm, like so, and you can see there's two parts, two ends to a worm. Okay, see the dark end? That's generally considered its head. And then it's got a flat tail end down here, if I can get him to hold still for a sec. And that's the other end. In the middle there, they have a band. What you want to do is just use your fingers. You don't have to do a knife with this, just use your fingers. Take it, pinch that worm in half. Leave the other half in your box, cover it back up, and you'll use that other half for another bite. Now you're going to take the worm and you're going to put it onto the hook. And what you do is you just slide it onto the hook. Start on the end that you tore off, slide it right up on the hook as far as it'll go. And there you go. All I did is slide the worm right up onto the hook. See if I can get it to stop wiggling quite so much. And the fish are going to bite at that worm. The hook's going to get into their mouth, and then that'll catch them, and then you can pull them in. The other thing you need is the bobber put on. I'm just going to use a small bobber like this. And because this isn't very deep water, I'm only going to put it up probably, maybe 2 feet from the worm. And there you can see how the bobber attaches. You push in on the top. It's got a little hook on it. You attach that to one end of the line. It's got another little hook on the bottom. You attach that to the other end of the line. That's all that's necessary for this type of fishing. We have the line, the pole, and we're ready to cast out. Now the fish have been jumping out here pretty good, so I'm pretty hopeful. What you want to do, remember the button. You hold in on the button. You pull the pole back a little bit to about 45 degrees. Then you just give it a little flip with your wrist and let go of the button. And you can look out there, see where my bobber landed. And then you want to reel your reel in just a little bit. And then you're going to let that bobber sit there and watch it real close. When you get a bite, you'll know it because the fish will move that bobber. And fishing is kind of a game of patience, folks. It's not something that happens immediately, but that's part of the joy of it, because while you're fishing, you can spend time looking at nature, talking to friends, enjoying a cold beer if that's your delight, and then catch a fish to take home for dinner. So we're going to sit here and we're going to watch this bubble. And because I didn't cast in the greatest of spots, I'm going to reel this in and just show you again one more time how to cast out. Again, the button goes in, pull goes back to 45 degrees, I give it a little toss, and that was a better cast. And there you can see it's a little bit farther out there in the deeper water instead of in the moss. Give it a little reel up so I'm close to my line, and we'll just kind of watch that now. You can see the bobber, and hopefully a fish will be interested enough to give that a little nibble, and we'll see what happens here. And there's a bubble. You see that? Did you see it bounce up and down? That was a fish. See it take it down? It's taking it over there. Watch carefully now as it gets up there. When it takes it down a little ways, then I'm going to give it a yank because I want that fish to be on. But I'm going to wait until he takes it down a ways. When he takes it down a ways, then we'll give it a little yank. Right now he's just playing with it. We'll take it up here. Oh, and that's what happened.